In a move that has sent shockwaves through state election offices, the Department of Justice, under President Donald Trump, has issued a sweeping and highly detailed demand to Minnesota. The request calls for the state to turn over its complete, unredacted voter registration records from both the 2024 primary and general elections. This is not a routine inquiry, it's a comprehensive request for sensitive information, including names, addresses, and voting histories, that goes far beyond what is typically shared between state and federal authorities. This unprecedented request, sent directly by Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon to Secretary of State Steve Simon, signals a new level of federal scrutiny of Minnesota's unique election laws and procedures. The letter's tone is urgent, emphasizing the need for transparency and compliance, and it has left state officials scrambling to assess the legal and practical implications. The DOJ cites the Help America Vote Act, or HAVA, as the legal foundation for its request. HAVA was designed to improve the administration of elections and ensure that voter registration and eligibility verification meet federal standards. By invoking HAVA, the DOJ is asserting its authority to examine whether Minnesota's systems are in full compliance, and to investigate any potential irregularities or vulnerabilities in the process. What makes this demand especially significant is the call for individual-level data, not just aggregate statistics. This bold move challenges the traditional autonomy states have enjoyed over their own election systems. It raises serious questions about privacy, the security of voter information, and the delicate balance of power between state and federal governments when it comes to overseeing elections. While the Department of Justice does have the authority to investigate potential violations of federal voting laws, such a broad and sweeping request is extremely rare. Legal experts say it sets the stage for a possible showdown in the courts, and could spark heated political debate about the proper role of the federal government in state-run elections. Now, Minnesota officials are at a crossroads. They must decide whether to comply with the federal directive, risking the privacy of their voters and the precedent it could set, or to push back and potentially face legal action. The outcome of this decision could have far-reaching consequences, not just for Minnesota, but for how elections are managed across the country. As the nation watches closely, this confrontation between state and federal authorities could ultimately redefine the boundaries of control over American elections, shaping the future of voting rights and election security for years to come. At the heart of the Department of Justice's investigation is Minnesota's unique approach to voting, same-day voter registration. This policy has drawn national attention, putting the state's election system under a microscope as federal officials seek to understand its impact and integrity. Same-day registration allows eligible Minnesotans to both register and cast their ballots on Election Day itself, rather than weeks in advance. This flexibility is seen as a hallmark of the state's commitment to accessible democracy. Advocates argue that this system increases voter turnout, especially among groups who often face obstacles, like young adults, people who have recently moved, or those who simply missed earlier registration deadlines. For many, it's a way to ensure every voice can be heard, even at the last minute. To register, voters must provide proof of residence. This usually means showing a driver's license, a recent utility bill, or an official government notice with their name and address. These requirements are designed to confirm eligibility and prevent fraud. But Minnesota's system goes a step further. If someone doesn't have the right documents, another registered voter from the same precinct can vouch for their residency. This vouching process is intended to help people who might otherwise be left out. Vouching is especially important for students living away from home, people experiencing homelessness, or others who lack traditional forms of ID. While it's a lifeline for many, it's also what's drawing federal scrutiny now. The Department of Justice has requested detailed records from Minnesota officials, hoping to learn how often each registration method is used and whether any patterns suggest the system could be exploited. Investigators are poring over documents, searching for any signs of irregularities or weaknesses that could threaten the security and trustworthiness of Minnesota's elections. The central debate remains: does Minnesota's flexible approach make voting more accessible and inclusive, or does it create opportunities for fraud and abuse? The answer could shape the future of election laws across the country. The vouching system lets a registered voter swear an oath to verify another's residency if they lack documentation. One voter can vouch for up to 8 people in their precinct, but those vouched for can't vouch for others in the same election. Supporters say vouching enfranchises students, seniors, and those without traditional proof of address. Critics argue it's an honor system that's hard to police and easy to exploit. The main concern: how can officials verify the voucher truly knows the person and their residency? The potential for a single individual to register multiple voters without documents is seen as a security gap. This debate over trust versus verification is at the heart of the DOJ's investigation. The outcome could reshape how states balance access and integrity in elections. In 2023, Minnesota introduced a significant change with its driver's licenses for all law. This legislation allows all residents, regardless of their immigration status, to apply for and receive standard driver's licenses or state identification cards. The move was celebrated by many as a step toward inclusivity and public safety, making it easier for people to drive legally, access insurance, and participate more fully in daily life. These new IDs look exactly the same as those issued to U.S. citizens. There are no special markings or distinctions, which means they are accepted as valid proof of residence for same-day voter registration at polling places across the state. This has sparked concern among critics, who argue that, because election judges cannot determine citizenship status from the ID alone, there's a risk that non-citizens could register and vote, either intentionally or by accident. The fear is that the system could be exploited, or that honest mistakes could undermine election integrity. Supporters, however, emphasize that the law's primary goal is to improve road safety and ensure everyone behind the wheel is properly trained and insured. They also point out that the voter registration process still requires applicants to swear, under penalty of perjury, that they are U.S. citizens, a legal safeguard that's been in place for years. Advocates believe that the threat of serious legal consequences, including fines and possible jail time for illegal voting, is a powerful deterrent against fraud. They argue that these penalties are clear and well publicized, making it unlikely that someone would risk violating the law. The debate now centers on whether trust in legal oaths and existing penalties is enough to protect the integrity of Minnesota's elections, or if additional safeguards and verification measures are needed to address these new complexities. As a result, the intersection of ID policy and voting rules has become a central focus of the Department of Justice's ongoing investigation, highlighting the challenges states face in balancing access, security, and public trust. Critics of Minnesota's system warn that same-day registration, vouching, and identical IDs for non-citizens create a perfect storm for potential fraud. They argue that convenience is prioritized over security, making it hard to guarantee only eligible voters cast ballots. The vouching system, they say, could be exploited by partisan operatives, with little real-time verification possible. The new driver's license law, lacking a citizenship marker, adds to their concerns. Critics doubt that the threat of perjury alone will deter illegal registrations, especially if some don't understand the law. Recent scandals in Minnesota have fueled skepticism about the state's ability to prevent abuse. National activists have praised the DOJ's intervention, seeing it as necessary to restore faith in elections. For these critics, only stricter, document-based verification can ensure election integrity. Defenders of Minnesota's laws argue the system is fair, secure, and vital for high voter turnout. They credit same-day registration and vouching for making voting accessible, especially for marginalized groups. Evidence of widespread fraud, they say, is lacking, and existing safeguards like post-election address checks are effective. The vouching oath is a legal deterrent, and non-citizen voting is a felony with severe consequences. Supporters see the DOJ's investigation as politically motivated and a threat to state autonomy. They warn that stricter ID laws would disenfranchise students, the elderly, and low-income voters. For them, Minnesota's model should be emulated, not dismantled. The DOJ's Civil Rights Division enforces federal voting laws, including HAVA, to ensure fair access and secure elections. HAVA requires states to maintain centralized voter rolls and set minimum standards for registration and ID. The DOJ's investigation aims to ensure Minnesota's unique registration methods comply with these federal requirements. The current review is not an accusation but a formal audit, focusing on same-day registrations and vouching. Investigators will analyze whether Minnesota's processes meet federal standards for verification and security. This is a classic federalism test. States run elections, but must follow federal law. The outcome could set a national precedent for how flexible registration systems are regulated. Minnesota must now decide whether to comply with the DOJ's sweeping records request or challenge it in court. Full cooperation would allow a federal audit, signaling transparency but risking privacy concerns. A legal challenge could argue the request is too broad or infringes on state authority, potentially leading to a lengthy court battle. If the DOJ gains access, investigators will cross-check registration data for anomalies and compliance with state and federal law. The process could take months, leaving Minnesota's voting laws in limbo. Outcomes range from a clean bill of health to federal recommendations, or even a lawsuit forcing changes to state law. The stakes are high. The result could reshape how Minnesotans vote and set a standard for other states. The nation awaits the next move in this high-stakes confrontation. Minnesota's case is part of a broader national battle over election access versus security. Some advocate for policies that make voting easier, like same-day registration, arguing that low turnout, not fraud, is democracy's biggest threat. Others demand stricter ID laws and tighter controls, fearing even rare fraud can undermine public trust. The DOJ's actions in Minnesota highlight the tension between these philosophies. The outcome could embolden similar challenges in other states or reinforce models that expand access. This is more than a dispute over records, it's a fight over the future of American elections. What happens in Minnesota may shape voting rights nationwide for years to come.